Hi, good day everyone. I'd like to welcome all of our students. So today's event is the Accounting Career Talk. And we've got some of our students in our venue today. It's a hybrid event, and we've also got some students online joining us. So I'd like to welcome our online attendees as well as our face-to-face attendees who are at Unisa Cape Town campus out in Parow. We've got two companies that will be presenting in person today, and the other three will be presenting online. So if you look at the program, we've got Sprig Abbott, they will be presenting online. Institute of Accounting will be presenting online as well. BGR, we've got Elisa here, she's from BGR, she'll be presenting in person. And then Iridium, presented by Monique Walls, they will be online. And the last company, PKF, they will be here in person. So they will join us a little bit later. Okay. So the purpose of today's event, we thought we'd open up the discussion. I think the last time we've hosted an on-campus event, career event for students was pre-COVID. I think our last event was 2018, 2019, and it was COVID and it was shut down and it was online. And so we're really trying to reignite and reconnect with our students today. I think that was one of the driving forces for the event today, was reconnecting with our students and also creating the space to speak about and check in with you. You know, am I on the right track? Have I chosen the right qualification? Do I understand the job opportunities linked to a career in accounting? And what does a career in the field of accounting sciences mean? There are quite a few streams in the field of accounting. The broad, popular ones, your chartered accountants, management accountants, auditors, tax. Those are the four broad fields in my mind. The speakers will obviously elaborate on all the various fields, career opportunities. Some of them will speak about time management. I think a lot of our postgrad students, once they do secure articles, is the challenge they experience with managing articles, work, life, and the other life roles. Being a parent or raising kids or a family member, you've got to provide, you've got to cook, there's other responsibility and other roles you need to play as well. So we do understand that. So one of the companies is also going to speak about time management and how to balance all of these responsibilities so that you achieve success. I think it's good when you secure articles because it means you're one step closer to your goal of becoming a CA or you're training to become a management accountant. But then also once you're in that position, how do you manage the pressure of performing well and retaining employment? That's very important as well. So a lot of our students, you're able to secure employment, but also most importantly is how do you retain and also take care of your mental wellness, I think is very important as well. So with just that little bit, I'd like to open up today's proceedings. So welcome to our students and presenters to the Accounting Sciences Career Talk. And I am Chantal Adams, the student counselor at the Western Cape campus. Did I even introduce myself? And the counseling services are available on campus to our students. If you need to see a counselor, you want an individual session, you have some personalized questions, you want support with time management, and the counseling services are available via email, telephone, in person, and also face-to-face sessions, online as well via the Teams app. So depending on what is convenient and also suitable for you. Okay, so without any further ado, I'd like to open the program for today. And the first company that we have in our program is Sprig Abbott, Altru de Klerk. Is she with us? Then I think we need to check if Prakash is with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Prakash. I think we're going to move over to you while I try and touch base with Sprig Abbott. Are you ready to present, Prakash?
Thank you very much, Chantal, for the opportunity that you always give the Institute of Accounting and Commerce to address the Unisa students and all concerned. It's actually a privilege to be here and to firstly introduce the Institute of Accounting and Commerce and to secondly speak about the accounting profession in general. My name is Prakash Singh. I'm the CEO of the Institute of Accounting and Commerce, and I hope I can enlighten you a little bit as students. We are a professional accounting body, a professional accounting organization who license accountants, tax practitioners, and business rescue practitioners to run their own practices. So 99% of our membership run their own practices, and we license them to do so. Okay, so Firstly, I want to speak on the introduction and the history of IAC. We've got a very rich history. We were established in 1927, which is 97 years ago. And at that time, we were a professional accounting body and a college for long distance learning as well. So for many years, we were that. And it was only in 2006 that we became only a professional accounting body, registering accounting officers, tax practitioners, and so forth. Then in 2010, we became a professional accounting body only. So between 2006 and 2010, we were given out a teach-out period to close our college because you had to be registered with DHET, and no professional body in the country can be a college as such. So we are purely a professional accounting body registering professionals. Then in 2013, the IAC became recognized with SARS, the South African Revenue Services, as a tax controlling body. So then we took on tax practitioners in our basket as well. Then in 2016, we were licensed by CIPC to register business rescue practitioners. And that has been our latest acquisition as a designation, where we now designate business rescue practitioners in the accounting world as accounting institutes. They are now can be recognized as what we call BRP, Certified Business Rescue Practitioners. In the past, business rescue practitioners were only recognized by the attorney fraternity, okay, the law fraternity. Then in 2019, we were licensed by FASET to register approved training centers. Now I want to pause there because this pertains a lot to students. Because what we mean by this, what we call an ATC, Approved Training Center, we've been licensed by FASET, the accounting CETA, so that our accounting officers can employ students or graduates, and they go onto a 3-year learnership, like a 3-year articles, like what SICA would call articles, IAC calls learnership. Okay, so they have a 3-year learnership, and after 3 years, they then qualify to write our entrance exam, which is like a 4-hour exam to come into to receive the designation of an accounting officer, for example. So this is very important and very nice for students to take advantage of, that do not want to go the CA stream, and you want to go the accounting officer stream. Then this is your opportunity to contact us, and as I go on, you'll see the contact details. So currently, the IAC has become a very sustainable and compliant controlling body by all statutory bodies in South Africa. So by statutory bodies in South Africa, what I mean is, as you can see on your screen, we are recognized by all statutory bodies in South Africa, and I'm naming the main ones here. Firstly, CIPC. CIPC is the statutory body that registers entities, companies. So you cannot be a NPC or a Pty Limited or a company and not be registered with CIPC. CIPC is the regulator for accounting officers and for companies. Okay. Then we have SEQA. SEQA stands for South African Quality Authority. This body, SEQA, gives or approves designations to controlling bodies like IAC and to every other controlling body as well. So it's a controlling body, a professional accounting body, can only get a designation from SEQA. and every 5 years it is renewed. I'll come back to designations just now, but SEQA is the main body that gives you that designation. Then we have FACET. We are recognized by FACET. FACET is the accounting CETA for accountants, and very closely linked to FACET is the QCTO. QCTO is the Quality for Trades and Occupation CETA. Now, in the past, the QCTO only got involved in skills and artisans and so forth, but of recent years, the QCTO has got involved in the accounting realm, and they work closely with FACET, although FACET is our CETA, and we work hand in hand together with FACET and QCTO in order to align our qualifications. Okay. Then we have SARS. As I said, in 2013, we became recognized as a tax body. No controlling body was a tax body until 2013. SARS handled everything themselves. So in 2013, they opened it up to the accounting world, so that we became tax bodies, and we got the designation from SEQA of the Certified Tax Practitioner, so forth. Then we have the Department of Trade and Industry, DTI. DTI basically is your dictator in your company law. They would actually, if there's changes to the Companies Act, they would actually approach Parliament, and they would work hand in hand with CIPC, and they would make changes to the Companies Act. So DTI is a very important statutory body, and it's very well recognized as IAC as well. Then you got the DHET, the Department of Higher Education, and the CHE, the Council for Higher Education. They recognize us. Many of our accounting officers also does the books for the schools. And therefore, I have regularly meetings with DHET and CHE so that we can still continue on the same page, supporting our accounting officers with what they do at the schools. Then I added PAFA there, the Pan-African Federation of Accountants, of which IAC is a full member. Now, I'm sure at some stage you must have heard of IFAC, IFAC. IFAC is the Institute for Federation of Accounting. They are the International Federation of Accounting. Now, PAFA is the mother body of IFAC, who's in Africa. PAFA has got 57 countries, like SICA, all the chartered accountants, all the accounting officers in the various controlling bodies. They are linked or associate full members of PAFA, and IAC is a member of PAFA as well from South Africa. There's other controlling bodies in South Africa as well that are registered with PAFA, and PAFA dictates IFRS standards, what we call standard setters, and it's a very important body that that controls and gives what you call recommendations of changes to IFRS, or acknowledges IFAC to have webinars on IFRS so that people can understand updates that goes on IFRS, the international framework for accounting standards. Okay. So I was speaking about SEQA and the South African Quality Authority. They have approved the IAC with 7 designations. And the first one, or the two, are IAP and the FAP. They are both accounting officers. That's why I put it together. They are the independent accounting professional and the financial accountant in practice. As I said, 99% of our membership, they run their own practices. And 99% of them are IAPs and FAPs with us. The difference between the IAP and the FAP is the IAP, the independent accounting professional, can sign off reviews. We cannot do audits. Only SICA, only those people that are registered with SICA and registered with IRBA, the International Regulation for Auditors, they only can sign off audits. Any other controlling body in the country can't sign off audits, but we can do reviews. A review is a mini audit. So an IAP is our highest designation, and those are accounting officers who can sign off financials and can sign off reviews. A financial accountant in practice can sign off financials and can basically do everything else beside reviews. Then we have the FAC, the Financial Accountant in Commerce. We don't have too many of these. These are our members who work in companies. They got a professional designation as a FAC, and in their company, they are recognized as a professional, being a financial accountant in commerce. Then we have the technical accountant, who is who you would actually recognize as a bookkeeper. Now, these are technical accountants are bookkeepers who will work up to trial balance. And I'm sure I'm talking to accounting students here, and you'll understand what I'm saying when I say they work up to trial balance. Although we do have the technical accountants now go and compile accounts from the trial balance. And they're allowed to do so, but they cannot sign off financials like the FAC or the IAP or the FAP. Okay. Then we have the Certified Tax Practitioner, the CTP. These are members who also run their own practices, and they submit to SARS returns like your VAT and your PAYE and so forth monthly for clients, and they handle all the queries for clients on the tax side. So, and then we also have the ATP, the Associate Tax Practitioner, which is, we don't promote too much because the ATP is basically a tax practitioner can only do individuals. But a CTP, a Certified Tax Practitioner, can do individuals and companies. So everybody wants to become a Certified Tax Practitioner, and the opportunity is there to become a Certified Tax Practitioner with IAC and do submissions to SARS. So just remember, according to the Tax Administration Act, nobody is allowed to give tax advice or to submit tax returns if you're not registered with a tax body like IAC. There are many tax bodies in South Africa. I'll come to that just now and I'll show you, but IAC is at the forefront of and partnering with SARS. We are very much a partner with SARS. We have monthly meetings with them. We meet them at the highest standard. I meet with the commissioner himself of SARS, and we discuss challenges that goes on in the tax world. And I'm sure you are reading the papers and reading News 24 and so forth, and you are seeing all what goes on in the tax world. And in many of those instances, we are actually involved and consulted with before it is advertised or before it is brought into the public space. Then we have the certified business rescue practitioner, which wouldn't actually involve you all as students right now, but just to tell you that the business rescue practitioner is a new thing in South Africa. It is only about a dozen years ago that the business rescue practitioner was recognized by accounting institutes to be certified and receive the designation from an accounting institute. In the past, it was more in the attorneys fraternity, and now they've opened it up to our accounting officers. As long as you meet certain criteria, you got the experience, you got the qualification, you can become a business rescue practitioner. A business rescue practitioner is basically a person who goes in where a company is in distress. In the old days, a company went straight into liquidation if it was in distress. Now, until about 12 to 15 years ago, companies now can employ a business issue practitioner, take over the company, and try to resuscitate or rehabilitate the company back to a viable going concern. And if you can't do that, then it goes into liquidation. Okay, then we have the what you call the students and students on learnership. Now, this is very important because this directly involves you now. The students we have are basically non-designated members who join us from various universities in South Africa, and the admission to join us as a member is free. There is no charge. So I will actually recommend that you as students, you actually email that what you see on the screen, members@iacsA.co.za, and you tell them join as email them and join you as a student, and they'll send you the membership department will send you an application, a one-page application. You apply and you become a student. The advantages of being a student with us is that you receive all our communication. You receive updates on IFRS. You receive our our magazine, which is called The Profession, every 3 months. And it's all about tax and about accounting and so forth. So you are very kept up to date what's going on in the real world of accounting and tax. So students are actually, it is an opportunity for you to basically be part of a controlling body and be updated. Then we have the student on learnership, who, as I explained you just now, they are members who have joined the ATC, the approved training centers, on a 3-year learnership. So they are actually what you call will do the learnership and then write our entrance exam to become an accounting officer. Okay. Then we, if you're asking the question, who are the professional accounting organizations in South Africa? And there are quite a few, but I'm naming the main ones. There's about 10 or 12 in total, but I'm naming the main ones to you. There's the Institute of Accounting and Commerce, that's us. Then you have SAICA, South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. And then you have SAIPA, which is the South African Institute of Professional Accountants. And you have SIBA, which is the Chartered Institute of Business Accountants. In the old days, they called them SAIPA, which is also business accountants. Now, these 4 bodies here are the 4 South African bodies in South Africa, the only 4 South African bodies, professional accounting institutes in South Africa that you can join. So if you join in SAICA, you will join them either as a chartered accountant or a general accountant. So they have the designations of the chartered accountant, of course, for the student who has gone all the way. And just as Chantel said just now, you've done your articles, you've reached a stage where you're ready for board. You join an auditing company, serve your articles, and then become a chartered accountant. Then you join SAICA. If you become an AGA, what we call a general accountant with SAICA, you can do that as well. Or a TA, a technical accountant as well, they have in their designation. SAIPA has professional accountants, just exactly. IAC and SAIPA are exactly the same. The general accountant with SAICA is an accounting officer, exactly the same as well. And SIBA has got business accountants who's also accounting officers as well, and can sign off financials. Then you have the international bodies who are in South Africa, like CIMA. They deal more on management accounting. And the ACCA, these are very recognized international bodies in South Africa. And then you have SAIGA. SAIGA is the South African Institute for Government Auditors. So what you call, they deal more on the secretarial side as government auditors. And and CIMA will deal more with the management accounting, while other bodies will deal more with financial accounting and producing of financial accounts. Okay. Now, what you might ask the question, what must I have as a qualification in order to become an accounting officer? So firstly, you've got to have 4 core subjects in your degree. Or if you're in a University of Technology, in the old days, they call it the BTech. Now it's the higher national diploma, which is an NQ of 7 level. But in your case, as Unisa, it is a degree, an accounting degree that you come out with. You must have financial accounting 3, firstly, in your degree. You must have auditing 1 or internal auditing 2, one of those 2. You must have company law. Some people call it commercial law. Some call it corporate law, company law in South African legislation. And the 4th subject, you must have taxation for individuals and companies. So you need to have these 4 subjects in order to qualify together with your degree to write our entrance exam or any other controlling body's entrance exam, so that you can become an accounting officer. So so basically that's the okay, if I can just get there. Yeah, I'm just trying to move this thing so I can see my screen. Yeah, I'm trying to look at the thing. So so basically, you require the 4 subjects, core subjects, plus 6 years experience, or a 3-year articles or learnership to write the entrance exam. So if you got the 4 core subjects with your degree, NQ of 7 degree, you can either have articles, your 3-year articles completely and signed off, or learnership signed off, or you can have 6 years. That's our recognition for prior learning. So you can have 6 years experience under a supervision of a qualified accountant, and you can then qualify to write our entrance exam to become an accounting officer. Okay. So the accounting profession, I call it in the 5th industrial revolution. And this is very interesting for me, and I'm basically want to talk about the real world now. I've told you about a professional accounting body. I've spoken to you about how they get designations from SEQA, what is the qualifications to become an accounting body, what they might need to have to become an accounting officer. But students around the country are basically quite shocked when they go into the working arena. And there is what we call the 4 industrial revolutions, and I believe that the 5th industrial revolution is on us right now, and I'll explain that to you just now. But the first industrial revolution took place in the 1930s, and this was purely where steam power, steam was created, and mining and railways were initiated, and industrialization happened, and it was a big thing at that time. It was a game changer for a lot of people in the first industrial revolution in the 1930s. Then in the second industrial revolution came in the 1970s, early 1970s. And this was characterized by a mass production of electricity, expansion of telecommunication, and diversification into television. And that's what I want to zone on this morning or this afternoon, television. So in the early 70s, television was born, introduced to South Africa. Of course, it was introduced a bit earlier to other first world countries, but it came to South Africa in the early 70s. And if you will remember, some of you all might not remember, but others who are on the platform will remember you had like a Rich Man, the Poor Man series, and Little House on the Prairie, all those new ones, the old television series that came in. And television changed the face of South Africa. Because in the old days, people came from work, they had supper around the table with the family, and then they sat around a fire and had a good discussion about how the day went. But the moment television was introduced in the 1970s, the second industrial revolution, it changed the life. No more do we get people sitting around a fire and talking in the evenings. And you will understand when you go home, you sit in front of the television. And that's what happened from the 1970s. It changed our lives altogether. So that was the second industrial revolution. The third industrial revolution came in the late 80s, early 90s. And that was the initiation of digital technologies, and especially computers and internet. And in 1985, I remember I started to work with Pioneer Foods at that time. And when they told to us, we had one computer in the entire, Pioneer Foods is part of a flour milling company. And when they told us that there'll come a time when every person or every clerk will have a laptop on the tables, we said it will never happen, because computers were never introduced to us before. Computers were only like dot matrix printers and something that was of very scarce resource. And lo and behold, if you think about it now, there's nobody that goes around or manages life without a laptop or a computer or a desktop and internet. So that was the third industrial revolution that changed our lives. Then the fourth industrial revolution took place in the early 2000s, and that was characterized by digital technologies. And by this, I mean softwares, packages were introduced. Now, some of the software packages were like Xero, Caseware, DraftWorks, Sage, Pastel, etc. Those are the accounting packages that was introduced in the early 2000s, late 1990s. And when this came on, it changed the life of an accountant completely. Because in the old days, we wrote up our books up to trial balance. And then we went from the trial balance, went manually and did our, what we call the AFS, annual financial statements. But now, all that needs to be done, and you're going to experience this when you get to talking to the students, when you get to the real world, you'll just take the trial balance. And if you're using a package like Omni, you'll basically, a trial balance will be computed for you. You take the trial balance and throw it into one of those packages, and it will produce for you a set of financials completely. So you don't even have to know how to draw up a cash flow statement now. Now you just got to take the trial balance, put it into a software package, and you are basically have your annual financial statement. So if you are thinking that you're going into the real world and you're going to start doing debits and credits, again, don't be mistaken. You're not going to do that. It's more compliance. You're now going to take your trial balance, put it into a software package. The good thing about the software package is the compliancy is very updated with the Companies Act and so forth, and with IFRS. That happened in the fourth industrial revolution. Then very interestingly, what I call the fifth industrial revolution now is artificial intelligence. Now, I've been to many meetings in the last few months on how artificial intelligence influences education. Now, by the time you get into the real world, I can tell you that somebody said, okay, let me put it this way to you. Somebody said to me when I sat in a meeting the other day that in 10 years' time, maybe, or 5 years' time, you might not have lecturers standing in front of you lecturing. there'll be a artificial intelligence that will be lecturing to you. Now that sounds absurd, like how it sounded absurd in the 1980s when we said every person will have a laptop. That is how absurd it sounds now. But artificial intelligence is the future, ChatGPT. And universities around the country, I can tell you, and I'm sure Unisa is as well, universities around the country whom I've attended a lot of their meetings, they are finding controls as to how to navigate the waters of artificial intelligence. I was in UKZN the other day in KZN, Durban, and they actually called it surfacing the waters of artificial intelligence. And how can we control and how can we make that useful in order to improve education? So artificial intelligence might even surpass accounting packages. So get ready for it. Students that are coming out of university now going into your articles for 3 years, maybe in 5 years' time, you are ready after your board exams to go into the real world. You are going to meet artificial intelligence head on. So be ready for it. Okay. My time is limited, so I can't expand on it, but I've got my last slide here. Just to tell you what accountants can do. Accounting officers can service close corporations, CCs, that is, companies, trusts, body corporates, partnerships, sole proprietors, schools, and so forth, right? Almost everything, not almost everything they can service. The services they do independent compilations of accounts. They prepare annual financial statements. They write up books of accounts and payrolls. They do statutory returns. Sorry about the spelling there for statutory. They do statutory returns, example, VAT. Now, if I tell you VAT 201 return must be submitted to SARS every month, and you may not be exposed to the name VAT 201, but it's a VAT that you've received and VAT that you've paid out. The balance of it goes to SARS. You pay to SARS every month. Your EMP 201 is the PAYE, your tax that you deduct from employees. You pay it over to SARS every month, and that's on the 7th of every month. So that's what the accounting officers do. They return, and this is just an example of one or two. And then, of course, preparation of budgets and forecasts is part of the life of an accounting officer. On the tax side, it's tax consultancy that tax practitioners do, taxation for individuals and for companies, and they complete tax returns like the VAT 201 and the EMP 201 and EMP. In the end of the year, you do the EMP 501, where you are assessed by SARS on an ITA 34. Sorry, I'm mentioning some of these technical names. It might sound Greek to you, but these are statutory returns that needs to be sent to SARS every month. And then, of course, we have accounting officers who do internal auditing as well. So basically, that is my presentation to you today on to introduce the Institute of Accounting and Commerce firstly to you and give you its history, tell you what its designations are, how do you qualify to become an accounting officer, speak to you about the chartered accountant as well at the same time, because I know many of you are going in that stream. And then when you do go into the real world, what to expect. And therefore I gave you the 5 industrial revolutions, and we are, believe me, we're very much in the thick of things with AI now. I forgot to mention to you that they have now come out with talking about artificial intelligence with a glasses that you put on. You don't even need to go into a computer or a laptop. All you do is blink your eye and Google. You think of it and you'll Google something. So if you are thinking of what does a tax practitioner do, for example, or what does an accounting officer do, you just blink your eye and in your mind, AI will read it, and in front of you, you'll receive it through the glass lens. You'll receive the information. So you don't even need a utensil like a computer. That is how advanced artificial intelligence is getting to. So just to give you a little bit of food for thought over there, that is what I talk about, the fifth industrial revolution. So Chantel, that is my talk for today to the students. And I want to thank you for the opportunity. It's really a pleasure to always come on board and to support Unisa and to enlighten the students and all concerned. And if there's any questions, I'm prepared to take your questions now. Thank you, Chantel.
Thank you so much, Prakash. I think what stood out for me, I always think, we're beyond the revolutions. And when I went on a management training course, we also had to do a project on the impact of the various revolutions on the current space where we find ourselves. So we're never going to move away from these revolutions. I think we always need to understand the impact it's had on us and also the impact it has on how we're developing and the way we place ourselves in preparing ourselves for future and future opportunities. One of the biggest things I think is the AI and the technology. And I think the College of Accounting Sciences was here earlier this year to talk to our students and speak about the big impact on plagiarism, especially for accounting
Yes.
and students working on numbers and being academically excluded for plagiarizing. So AI is definitely, and now Unisa is now purely online exams. I think some of accounting exams, postgrad and third years is taking place on campus now, but most of our 90% of our exams is all online. So AI is definitely playing a big role in the way in which universities and higher education manage themselves and manage the learning experiences of our students. So thank you, Prakash. I think very important topics to highlight. I don't really understand all the accounting jargons and the A1 forms and things. Not a big numbers person myself, but I think our students would understand all of the jargons. And I think it's also good to make them aware of the processes involved in terms of submission dates and understanding what a year would look like for them and what the requirements are in terms of their duties and their responsibilities would look like. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise. Always a pleasure working with you, Prakash.
No, it's a pleasure as well, Chantal.
We're going to move on to the next speaker who is with us in person today, BGR, Elisa De Lange. She'll be presenting on behalf of BGR. Elisa, you can take the floor.
Good day, everyone. My name is Iris. Thank you, Chantal. And I'm from BGR, an auditing firm based here in the Western Cape. So yes, I'm from BGR, like I said. So who is BGR? An accounting firm, an auditing firm in the Western Cape. Like I said, we do accounting, auditing, tax, and advisory services. And I will go into it a bit more later on. We are located in Stellenbosch, Hull, Worcester, and Hermanus. So if you're not close by here in Cape Town, we have a few other in the suburbs, and it's beautiful offices. Hermanus is our newest office, and I've heard that some of our clerks like to go surf during lunch. So yes, we're also a medium-sized firm, so we are between 30 and 50 trainee accountants and staff in our offices. So we are not part of the big four like PwC and Deloitte. We're more medium-sized firm and more family-orientated. I know it sounds so cliche if someone says, oh, the company is like a family, but we truly, truly are. Okay, now we offer training contracts. If you do a degree in accounting or financial accounting, you have to do articles or training contracts. So we offer training contracts to matriculants or undergraduates. So most of you study through part-time or full-time through Unisa. So you can start with your articles and study part-time. So undergraduates, graduates is if you've already obtained your degree and you want to do your postgraduate, your CTA part-time. Okay. Then are all of you familiar with the difference between SAICA and SAIPA? Everyone here today, are you familiar with SAICA and SAIPA, the difference? Okay, I'm just going to say, so SAICA is if you want to become a chartered accountant, this is just the basics of it, and SAIPA is if you want to become a professional accountant. So SAICA is more auditing based and SAIPA is more accounting based. And we offer SAICA at all of our offices and SAIPA only at Stellenbosch and Paarl office. Now, your roadmap to becoming a CA. First of all, obviously you need matric. Then you have decided already to study through Unisa, which you can do full-time or part-time. If you decide to do it part-time, you can, even if you're a second year, first year, you can always apply. Companies like BGR, like I say, take in students. So you sign your contract to start with your articles, and then you study part-time. So in 5 years, you can become a CA. The other route would be to study full-time, only focus on your studies, and then only do your articles or training contract. So it's 3 years for the degree, a 4th year for your honors, and then 3 years of articles. So that's a total of 7 years. If you decide to take the more difficult route, which is working full-time and studying part-time, in 5 years you have your degree and your articles, and you are a qualified CA with SAICA. And then once you start with your articles, here at the bottom, you will see there are 2 exams that you have to write, board exams, ITC and APC. So once you've qualified for that, you can become a CA. Now, you don't have to stop there. There we go. You don't have to stop there. You can just be a chartered accountant, or you can go even further and become a registered auditor. Now, a registered auditor is the person that signs off on the financial statements. It's like the top position that you can get. And to obtain that, you have to be a manager in a management position for at least 18 months. There's no other exams you have to write, luckily. So you only build a portfolio, you send it in through IRBA, and they then decide if you can become a registered auditor or not. So just a more practical way of thinking of it is our directors of the company of BGR are all registered auditors. They have the last say. With that comes a big responsibility, but that would be the top point that you can reach as a chartered accountant. Great. Now, there's one important thing to note. SAICA or SAIPA is the company you sign with. And sometimes this is not stuff you can Google. Well, I mean, this one is on Google, but you have to look really hard to find it. So if you sign with a company and you're not happy, or you relocate for what reason it may be, if you decide to switch from a firm during your internship, you have a 6-month penalty or extension. So it would be 3.5 years. So that's just important to note. If you sign with a company, you're set with them for 3 years. Otherwise, you have to do 6 extra months. And then another thing is, you can do your articles to become a chartered accountant through Investec or Checkers, like more commercial side of it. But if you want to become a registered auditor, from the start, you have to do your training contract through an auditing firm like BGR. So just keep that in mind. I know some of the students are first years or second years. It still feels far away, but it's important to think about these decisions now instead of when it's too late. Okay. Then the SAIPA roadmap is pretty straightforward. You can also study part-time or full-time. Then you have your 3-year articles. You have 1 board exam, and then you can register with SAIPA to become a professional accountant. Okay. If anyone has any more questions on that, I do have more information that I can send to you personally. So my email address will be on the screen. You can email me and I will send more regarding SAIPA. Now, just a few tips when you go look, when you do job hunting, what we see, and I receive all the applications that comes through. So what we see is, I call it now the CV checklist. First of all, in this industry specifically, indicate if you're still currently studying, the year that you're studying, because some people take breaks in between studying. So yes, you started in 2018, but where are you now? So just indicate I'm a first year student studying at this university, Unisa. And then also languages is important. If you are, is English your first language or second language, it's important to add that as well. Then we all take selfies for Instagram, and it might only be the only photo you have, but it's so important to have a headshot picture of yourself. And this seems like common sense, but believe me, we have had some CVs or there's no picture at all. So include a little picture, a nice professional picture. So check that that's on. If you are currently employed part-time or full-time, listed at the top. Sometimes people start with, oh yes, I matriculated in 2020 or 2021, and then you make your way down, and only at the bottom you have 2024. Start with 2024 and then work your way down, so that the HR or the people that receive your CV can see, oh, this is where you are currently at. And then the last thing is your CV eye-catching? Like we just said with AI, there's so many tools online that you can use to elevate and enhance your CV. So use it, utilize it. It doesn't have to be a Word document anymore, especially in this field. There's so many people that are job hunting. How are you going to make sure your CV stands out? Okay. Then one last thing is for the interview, don't be shy. Come prepared. Research the company beforehand. Dress code is important, believe me. If you go especially to an auditing firm, dress neatly, dress to impress. And then ask questions in the interview if you don't understand. I always say ask questions if you don't know, if you don't understand, and when you will hear back from the company. And with that also said, follow up. If you went for the interview and you haven't heard back from them, or you sent in your CV and you haven't heard anything, follow up. It is your right until you hear from them. So that would be my takeaway points for job hunting. Then just a little bit on what to expect as a SAICA trainee or SAIPA trainee. This is more related to SAICA now. Once you start with your articles or your training contract, what can you expect? So first of all, depending if you start from, let's say you're first year and you're doing part-time studies, then you would mainly focus on accounting. Later on, auditing will follow. If you're a third year student or postgrad student, they might put you on auditing first. But it would, in theory, go like this. You would do income tax returns, cash books, so more accounting. Then once you're familiarized with the work, you move over to auditing, compilations, especially with a medium-sized firm. You work with a lot of individual and small companies. It's not necessarily a big company where you're only stuck on one section. So with smaller auditing firms, you would have a specific company and then do all their, well, some of the tax for them, all their accounting and auditing. So you get to see the full process. You don't just work in one section. You also get to see clients. You go to the clients to do some audits and mentorship, especially at BGR. Like I said, we're a family. You can speak directly to the director. You don't just have to go to the manager, follow a process. If you're stuck with something, especially while you're still studying and preparing for exams, you can go to them anytime. Their door is always open. Okay, and then one thing to note, while doing your articles, you are expected to fill in a few forms, and it's just to make sure that you're competent with the work. There's the LORs is more like ethics. It's the nitty-gritty stuff. Yes, I was professional in this email and I did this and that. Community work. It's all stuff you have to fill on in the form, and then the professional development summaries as well. That is when every 6 months your director will sit with you and say, these are the points that we have to work on, and this is the strategy to help you get to it and achieve your goal. So there's a lot of structure within the training contracts for you to succeed. And life after articles, like I said, you can become a registered auditor, a chartered financial analyst. You can go into leadership roles at other various companies, or you can decide to start your own company. So the world is your oyster when it comes to life after articles. And then I just have one small thing to say about BGR. Like I said, we have a few offices. We also have socials, because we see that, yes, it is a difficult route. Most of our students still study part-time. So they're a third year or second year student, and then they have a full-time job. So we try to bring in as much socials as possible. So golf days, year-end functions, mid-year functions. We have a sports day that's coming up. We had one last year. That's the picture that's up. It's Total Ninja. And Bryce, etc. We also send them for training. So that's just a bit about BGR. Then to apply, for the people here, I have goodie bags, but everyone else can just take a picture or a screenshot. My email address and cell phone number is there if there's any questions. And then if you want to apply, on our website under the careers tab, there's a form that you fill in. You can just add your CV there. That's it. Thank you so much. Any questions? Yes. So the question is a driving license necessary? There's ways to work around it. We have a few people that don't have their driver's license. I think it's something that you would have to work towards. Someday you would have to get it, but it's not. We won't look at your CV and say, oh, you don't have it. Sorry. There's ways to work around it. You might not just drive to the client for audits, but it's not a necessity. So we've seen that English is also not my first language, but some people add English as a language, or they don't state languages at all, and then they are not proficient in English. So when a client sends an email, they don't respond in a professional manner because it's their level of English isn't high enough. So that's why it's always important to be honest on your CV as well. Don't list skills you don't have just because it's a chance for you to get in. Somewhere or another, you will be caught out. English, and I know in Stellenbosch, Afrikaans as well. A lot of Afrikaans clients in the area, but English definitely predominantly, yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Elise. I think, one needs to think about the area when you're applying for positions. You need to think about the area you're working in, the predominant languages, and then also when you're job hunting, how you present yourself. At Counselling, we do offer assistance with CV writing, reviewing CVs, and offering guidance in terms of how to make your CV more effective, to get you shortlisted. So if you need the support services of the counsellors, we're able to assist with that. And then also interview skills, prepping you to get shortlisted. So we do role playing, where we get like 2 or 3 staff members. I was going to say interrogating. You're not interrogating, you're interviewing you. Okay, so to prepare you. I think the key skill is how to respond to interview questions. And Elise was saying you need to also ask the company questions. So don't ask like, how much are you going to pay me? I think you need to ask thought-provoking questions, which shows your understanding of the industry, of the company, and how you can contribute to the company. So those are the types of things that we can also assist you with. But I think if I think of the presentation really about skills and qualities needed in order to get yourself shortlisted, and that's really, if we look at the employment landscape in our country, unemployment is high, it's a given. Graduate unemployment is high, it's a given. So we make our services available and we get these companies in to combat that. We hope that you make use of the resources and the information and the people that you meet here and online in order to assist yourself and support yourselves to get yourself shortlisted, make use, take advantage, full advantage of the resources you have available, and help us help you eradicate that graduate unemployment rate. Okay. So we've only got 2 speakers left. We've got Iridium. Is Monique Wild ready for us? Monique, are you with us? Students can also use a chat function to pose any of the questions that they might have, comments, concerns around getting a job, securing a job. What questions must you ask? What should your CV look like? I'm surprised no one came with a CV to show the companies and try and get some feedback. But you can also make use of the counseling services. We will put the contact details for the counseling unit in the chat function. So you're welcome to make use of our services, whether it's CV writing or interview skills or career planning. You can make use of our services as well. You can schedule online or in person or telephone one-on-one sessions. Okay. So it looks like our next presenter, Monique Wilds, is ready to present. Monique, you can take the floor. So the next
Hi, Chantal. I just want to make sure you are able to hear me.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm assuming you're not able to see me because I'm sharing my screen. I'm not really familiar with how the Zoom or Teams Meets or whatever it's called, because we use Google Meets. But I think as long as you can hear me, I'm happy.
Yes.
I am. Well, firstly, hello to everyone. Online and in person. I am Monique. I'm from Iridium Business Solutions. I'm the people manager. And today I'm basically just going to tell you a little bit about what our company is all about and what we basically have on offer from a career perspective. I am recovering from a cold, so please do excuse my underwater sound. But I welcome any questions you might have in the chat box. I'll see if I can turn on my camera so you are able to see me. I think you should be able to see me now. Cool. As Iridium, I'm not sure if you are able to see my presentation, but I'm just going to speak through everything. Please let me know if everything is all good, if I need to stop at any point. Perfect. At Iridium, we specialize in accounting, advisory, and automation. And I think it would be a good idea to just take you to our company website because it basically details a lot of the things that we use. It's also very interactive and it highlights everything that we basically basically work with. So we are in the cloud accounting space, so very high on tech. We are also CIMA affiliated, so we run CIMA training contracts. And we also have roles such as management accountants, assistant FMs, and the likes thereof. We basically act as outsource accountants or FMs for our clients. And the clients that we currently work with are, I'm pretty sure you heard of Falskun, Lego, Yoko, Search Kings. So it's a very diverse group that we're currently working with at the moment. I mentioned that we specialize in accounting, advisory, and automation. So accounting is the bulk of what we do. So that is where the most of our roles, vacancies, or training contracts sits. And then advisory is a more high-level department or option that we provide to our clients. And then automation basically focuses on all the applications or systems that we make use of to make things more, I want to say easier, but it's just to streamline processes so that you are working smart and not hard. So we partner with Xero, so that's our main accounting partner, and then we have various plugins. So I'm not sure if I mentioned, we are an SME operating in the SME space. So Zero works for us. I know there's lots of other online accounting platforms out there, such as Sage and whatever there is out there, but we prefer to use Zero because of the functionality and the seamless processes that it gives for our clients. What are the industries that we operate in are retail, e-commerce is one of our favorite, being a tech company, manufacturing. We also have some property companies, creatives such as marketing consultants, consulting firms, depending on which industry they are in. And then, like I mentioned, tech is like we like operating in tech because of all the new and up and coming things that it presents. The companies that we integrate with our systems, it's a lot of systems, and I welcome any questions you might have on it. I am not an accountant. I will be able to advise on what I hear from my colleagues, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions. But like I mentioned, Zero is our main partner. We use plugins such as SimplePay, Dext, Infodocs, Expensify, Vend, Sin7. It's just all nice names for applications that just make things more easier for us. So our directors are very keen on, listening to the staff, hearing what are the up and coming tech stack tools that there is out there in order to build into streamline more efficiencies and processes so basically operating in the new fintech industry. What we currently have, so I'm just going to switch back to my presentation. As a company, our values and what we stand for is basically taking ownership, having grit, building client partnerships, being a team player, being curious, respecting yourself and others. I think being a team member at Iridium myself, I think this resonated with me from a personal perspective. One is being a team player does not necessarily mean needing to do someone else's work, but being there for the next person. Being curious and being invested in your colleagues, your clients, and just building and fostering that well-oiled machine, and also just like building chaos in the office as well. We are a very young, diverse company. We've been in existence for about 11 years. I think the youngest team member at the moment is about just over 20, 21, 22. Someone who's recently started or currently in the second or third year of studies. But yeah, very Google, I normally say it's a very Google-like culture, not for the bright colors and the freebies that we get at the office, but for the continuous learning and development we find ourselves in. It is a very high-performance culture. Everyone's always wanting to be challenged, stimulated, but it's very rewarding at the same time as well. I know myself, being a young professional, I joined Iridium because of the amount of value I'm able to add, and there's not much red tape because obviously it's a small, medium enterprise. So you are able to walk up to the director's door, speak to him, and who knows, depending on what it is that you brought forward, it can be implemented in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So I think that's what I really like about working at Iridium. Frequently asked questions. So I mentioned at the beginning of the session that we are a SEMA training office. So we have about plus minus 30 individuals at the moment currently working towards their designation as a ACMA, CGMA. So there's obviously a process that you need to go through. You need to complete your articles, your exams, and then your PER, which is almost like a logbook. We're quite well versed in the full life cycle of SEMA. And just some of the things that we support the trainee in is we pay for the first time sitting of the exam. We do know that the SEMA exams are quite expensive. We pay for the annual membership fee as well. FLP contribution. So FLP is recently something new on the scene in the SEMA sphere. Study materials we offer. up to 5 days study leave per exam, depending on which level you're on. And then we have office located in sunny CPT. I know it's currently super cold at the moment, but also in PTA as well. So overall, we provide a very, I would say, not a very vigorous, but it's a very steep learning curve when joining in the CIMA trainee space. Obviously, it is aligned with the CIMA competencies that is required. In your first year, you are a cloud accountant working towards or collaborating with your senior accountant, doing the basic bookkeeping for clients. So you'll have a client portfolio, doing the basic bookkeeping up to trial balance, running reports, doing the payroll, completing checklists, financial statements checklists, or working papers, as you might know it. So in that first year, you basically upskill in your technical, digital, and collaboration skills. In your second year, you manage another individual or coach, as we would like to say it. You're coaching a first year, so you get that people management skills and that leadership skills as well. And then in your third year, it is the whole tutti frutti that is required by CIMA. So in your third year, it's obviously more complex clients, lower volume, more reporting, consulting, etc. And that's where you there's a host of skills that you hone in on: technical, digital, people. You manage 2 individuals in that third year space. Leadership, business, strategic, because you're obviously working on more complex clients. So at the end of the 3 years, our role or our goal is to ensure that you are a fully fledged FM. After leaving Iridium, we have been lucky to have absorbed most of our trainees to date. Often we find they go into international spaces after the 3 years, or they stay on in an assistant FM role or in a management accountant role. On to the next slide, which is just a quick video on what our team has to say about the culture at Iridium. So I'm just going to play the video and then kick back to the final slide.
I feel that Iridium has helped my professional journey by allowing me to express myself and feel valued as an employee here. So I've grown as an individual, and I've also grown within a team in the marketing department.
The culture at Iridium, they allow you to be an individual. So individualism is encouraged within a team setting. Like, I love the people I work with. The leadership is incredibly hands-on.
I enjoy working at Iridium mostly because of the environment. I mean, it has a great environment that just gives you the idea that this is the place where you can continuously improve and just get better day after day.
Yeah, so that was a video that we launched last year. Last year we turned 10. And I think this year we will be 11 years old. Please just bear with me. I just need to skip the slide. There we go. Okay, I'll just share my screen again. Yeah, so like I mentioned, at Iridium, doing your CIMA training articles, it's a steep learning curve, but it's extremely rewarding. We also, whilst we do have CIMA training contracts, we also have other roles that we're currently recruiting for or constantly recruiting for, being in the accounting space, is management accountant, and that is someone that's basically in charge or has a portfolio of his or her own, working on more complex situations or complex clients. Then we have something that I don't think is necessarily known to the accounting industry. It is the client onboarding accountant, and it's a cool space for someone who loves working with people. So it's a little bit of a customer services role mixed with an accountant role. So it's onboarding clients who come into the organization, ensuring that they are fully set up on all the systems, that the accounting is obviously clean before handing over to the account managers. Then we have SEMA trainee roles 2025, and then we're also looking for more trainees in 2024. And then we're looking for assistant managers as well. So the assistant manager is someone who's recently completed articles or who's been working for a while, who's in the line of either SEMA, CYPA, PSYCA, those cyber, whichever designation it is in the accounting industry, who's wanting to manage a team and just take a next step into their career. But that is from me, Iridium, or from me, Monique, for Iridium. I welcome any questions anyone might have.
Thank you, Monique. Can we see the chat function? Are there any questions or comments? I don't think so.
There's a question, does these companies accept applications from foreign nationality students residing in South Africa? I'm not sure if that was aimed at Iridium or the previous company.
Well, maybe you and the previous company can respond.
Sure, no worries. I think when it comes to foreign nationals, we have in the past made an application for a work visa or work permit, and it was declined on the basis of the skill being readily available in South Africa. Because of the accounting profession, you have your universities such as Unisa, UJ, Northwest, US, all of these universities, the outcome or have graduates on a yearly basis, and it's plus minus 100 people, depending on the university, hence why they said it's readily available. However, there is a work around it. If you, for example, I know in our space, and I think in the PSYCA space as well, but I'm more going to speak from the SEMA perspective because I'm well versed in that industry and that side of things. If you complete your management case study successfully, you can then apply for a critical skills visa, and then off the back of that, then get the critical skills visa and secure employment within South Africa using that, because that is seen as an opportunity to enter into the South African job market. Okay. In case you do not require a visa, I think you need a visa if you are a foreign national.
For the purpose of securing the employment.
Yes.
It's part of the process.
Yeah.
Elise from BGR, do you want to add anything? Okay. So that question is covered. All right. Any other questions from anyone here in the room? Are students happy? Still with us? Okay. So we've only got one more speaker. Our last speaker for the day is PKF, and they are here in person. And we're just going to open up your presentation, and you're welcome to come and take the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dwayne Slamet. I'm representing PKF Cape Town this afternoon. I'm an account audit manager and a qualified chartered accountant. With me today is my colleague Nikki van den Berg, who is the recruitment officer at PKF Cape Town. Okay, so the structure of today's session is first an introduction to PKF as a network, but specifically focusing on PKF Cape Town, how to apply for a training contract, and a bit more about the company. And then we've also been asked to touch on aspects of time management as well. Okay. So this is quite an interesting one. So a lot of people know what PwC stands for, PricewaterhouseCoopers. A lot of people know what Ernst & Young stands for, EY, Ernst & Young. But does anyone know what PKF stands for? This is actually a bit embarrassing because I can't see the little note that I made under. Penel Kerr Foster. Yes, that's what it stands for, Penel Kerr Foster. So who is PKF? We are one of the largest mid-tier accounting networks in the world and in South Africa. So we are big enough to provide an excellent career foundation and small enough for you to feel like you make a difference. It is a global network of legally independent auditing and accounting firms. So each office operates as an independent firm, but we are a network where we can rely on each other's resources. So we are 200 member firms. Some firms have more than one office, so there are 480 offices operating over 150 countries. So that's just 50 more countries to go, and then we're operating in every single country. So PKF South Africa, we have got 8 offices around the country. We've got one in Durban, Port Elizabeth. In Joburg, we've got 2 firms, VGA and Octagon. There's one in Pretoria. In Cape Town, we've got 2 firms as well, PKF Cape Town that I'm representing, and then there's PKF Constantia Valley. And then in Stellenbosch, we've got another office of PKF Cape Town. So the 2 of us, we essentially one firm, 2 offices, we operate as one firm. And then there's one in George. Okay, if you want any more information on PKF, it's a very easy website to remember, www.pkf.co.za. Okay, so that's PKF Cape Town, or that's just the broader structure of PKF. So I finished my articles last year at one of the big 4 firms, and I think PKF Cape Town is a lot more intentional about the well-being of their staff than the big 4 firm that I was at. And also chatting to university friends of mine that did their articles at other places, PKF Cape Town definitely sounds like it takes care of its staff a lot better. So, for example, there's staff-sponsored events. One of my highlights of this year was a sunset cruise that we did around the waterfront. We were all on a yacht. We had a few nice drinks, and it was a really lovely time. Our office is around 160 employees in total. So 160 is really not a lot of people, and it's very easy to form genuine connections with everyone at the office and to find your tribe and build your friend groups and networks. We also, the managers, the partners, everyone is very accessible. It's easy to walk into a partner's office and just chat and check in, whether it's on professional matters or even personal matters. We also really care about your professional development. We are an auditing firm, so you will be auditing. But if you want exposure to a certain industry or a different type of engagement, then you are welcome to ask, and we will make a plan to make sure that, as far as possible, to gain that exposure. And throughout this year, people have come to me, Duane, I want to be on a pension fund, and then we were able to put them on a pension fund, for example. That being said, we audit quite a wide variety of different clients in industries like retail. We've got pension and provident funds, we've got tech companies, we've got manufacturing entities, we've got wine farmers, we've got a lot of individuals and body corporates as well. So I know that you guys had quite a number of firms presenting to you today, and choosing where to do your training contract is the foundation of your journey as a professional accountant or chartered accountant. We do SAICA articles at PKF. So if you want to apply, you can go to www.pkf.co.za. It's a very easy website to navigate. You go to the careers tab and then you can find the training contracts. If you have any questions about the recruitment process at PKF Cape Town, you are more than welcome to ask Nikki van den Berg after the presentation. If you have any questions about PKF Cape Town from an audit perspective or a training contract perspective, like the day-to-day kind of runnings, you can ask me throughout or after the presentation. Okay, so this is a slide about where your journey begins. You are already on your journey towards becoming a professional. You are in the academic phase, and then you'll enter your professional phase as an article clerk. I've just recently received the CASA designation, or it's been bestowed upon me by SAICA, and it almost feels like my journey has started again in a new phase. So you'll continue to grow and develop over your career. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Nothing? Okay. Right. So we were then asked to give a few tips and tricks on time management. Right. So we've got two memes, a meme and a joke. Me trying to cram 2 weeks worth of studying in one night because I have the time management skills of a potato. That was 100% me during my undergrad and postgrad. And then the executive who works from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day will both be very successful and fondly remembered by his wife's next husband. So time management skills is quite important from a professional, academic, and personal perspective. Okay, so there's a question posed. Why is it that some people achieve so much more with their time? Now, all of us have, or all 10 billion people in the world, however much we are, have 24 hours per day. But depending on who you are and your circumstances, some of us have more time to work with or are limited by certain factors. So an important aspect of time management is identifying that which is in your control and trying to make the best of the time that you have available. So here's a quick conceptualization of time management. It is the process of organizing and planning how to divide your time between specific activities. Right? So there are the benefits of good time management listed on the screen. For me, the third point is actually the most important. If you can manage your time well, it really reduces the stress that you experience in your life. The better you manage your time, the less urgent things are. You can kind of pay attention to the priorities in your life without feeling like you are running around. And you have more time for leisure activities, which can help you de-stress as well. Okay. So how do we achieve good time management? Okay. So first, there's goal setting, prioritization, managing interruptions, procrastination, and scheduling. So we're going to explore these concepts a little bit more over the coming slides, but that's kind of like the overarching principles of time management, one leading to the next one. Okay? So firstly, goal setting. You know, those who plan to fail, but those who fail to plan to fail. You need to know what is important to you, where you want to be, and that will determine how you get there, right? Then, once you know where you want to be one day or what you want to achieve, whether it is in the short term, like I want to get 60% for my tax test, or in 2 years' time I want to graduate, you can then prioritize what are the important things that you need to get to in the 2 weeks before your tax test or in the 2 years. to graduate, right? And then recognizing your priorities will help you systematize what should be done, what should be done later, what should be delegated, what should be thrown out completely. An important part of time management is managing your interruptions, right? So interruptions can really just fall out of the blue into your lap and then you have to do it immediately. Like, for example, if you're a mother, you've got no control over when your baby cries. And if you're trying to study while a baby starts crying, it's not going to work. But there are interruptions that we can manage, right? Like, are we going to pay attention to every single push notification of all of our apps as they come through? Or would managing our interruptions by only looking at our phone every 30 minutes or an hour while we're studying? Okay. Then procrastination. It's always nice to procrastinate. It's always fun to sow, but never fun to reap if you are procrastinating. So the I'll get it done later really do pile up, and then everything becomes urgent. So we need to avoid procrastination as much as possible. And all of us are very different. So for some people, doing a small task and then feeling success afterwards gets you to do the bigger tasks that you would have procrastinated on otherwise. Other people need to get a big task done and feel that real sense of accomplishment before they get to the little stuff. And then scheduling, right? So that ties back to the available time that we have during the day. Everyone knows or has a sense of how much time they have available in the day and can mold their priorities around the schedule that they have. Right. So obviously the consequences of bad time management, you might not study hard enough, well enough, you fail your tests, you miss deadlines, you are inefficient, you don't do as good as you could have had you planned things out properly or stuck to your plan. Because sometimes it's easy to plan and have a to-do list. The question is more about the implementation or whether our plan was reasonable to start off with. So it's very important to really consider your priorities and your time available to set up a reasonable and achievable schedule, right? Part of good time management is not to see how much you can cram in a day. Everything looks better on paper than how it works out in the real world. So don't set yourself up for failure. Be very practical when you are setting up your schedule, your to-do list, your calendar, however you organize your day. Right. Okay. So another nice kind of concept to keep in mind is the compass versus the clock. So the compass points you in the direction of what's important to you. And then the clock reminds you of, how are you going to get there? The clock is how you measure not measure, but it's the time that you have to get there. Right. Right. The clock represents our commitments, appointments. What do we do with our time? How do we manage our time? And then the compass is the visions, the goals, the principles, our values, and it points us to where we want to be in life. And managing the gap between the two is what time management is. Okay, so here's a lovely little matrix. I'm sure some of you have seen it before. We've got on the top row the x-axis, whether things are important or not, and then vertically we've got on the left hand side what's urgent, and then on the right hand side what's not urgent, right? So if we take a look at the top left quadrant, that is when things are important and urgent, right? So 2 days from now you're writing your tax test and you haven't studied enough, So there you are busy doing crisis management, right? And you don't want to be doing crisis management all the time. It will burn you out. Things that are not urgent but important are actually really where you want to be operating, because it means that you are focusing on things that will get you to your goals, but it's not urgent. So you are just constantly working on them, right? Here's a funny one. Things that are urgent but not important. They're not really quite common, but a good example that I was given was you've got your tax test in 2 days, and um, one of your friends, not your best friend, but just one of them, phones you very distraught and says her boyfriend dumped her and she's now really in a state. Now, that can feel urgent in the moment, but it might not be important to you if you've got a big test in 2 days' time. And then neither important nor urgent, something like binge watching a series, right? It's very nice, it can be very relaxing, but it is, in the greater scheme of things, definitely not urgent and likely not important. Okay, so what we want to do is, if we are in that urgent and important space, we need to crisis manage. What can you do? Who can help you? What resources do you need just to get things done ahead of time, right? The things that are urgent and not important can really steal a lot of our time. And the slide says a waste of time for not urgent, not important. I think doing things that are not urgent and not important can be very relaxing, can be like a nice time to unwind. But if there are things that are urgent and important, doing not urgent, not important things is a form of procrastination, which we have to. Okay? That's just some more detail on what we spoke about. And then one thing that we really want to avoid or work on is the urgency addiction. So when things are very urgent and very important, we have like adrenaline pumping through us, and some of us can feel like we've got incredible energy to get things done, right? Some people feel very inert and they can't act until something is urgent and important. But we really need to break that that cycle of urgency addiction, because then you are constantly just focusing on one task at one big thing at a time, without really working towards what's really important to us, and we can burn ourselves out very quickly. I think all of us are guilty of it to some extent, except those that are very risk averse. I did find myself at university numerous times, waiting until the last minute to start studying for a test, and it always ended badly. Okay, so your future is created by what you do today and not tomorrow. And at PKF, we do have a number of colleagues that are studying part-time, either through Unisa or Millpark. And a lot of the principles that we touched on today were also tips and advice that they would go back and tell their previous self. And just on time management, and now that I've mentioned my colleagues, the overtime requirement at PKF Cape Town is a lot more limited than it is at a big four firm, for example. And I'm speaking out of experience, having seen both sides. So it really is possible to, at PKF, to, for example, complete your CTA or honors or PGDA while working as well. And a lot of my colleagues are doing it successfully. So it is possible to start a training contract with us if you are doing your CTA or PGDA. Nikki is nodding in the background because she agrees. Right, so I've stuck to the 20 minutes of our presentation. I've managed my time well. Are there any questions? I'd really, really like to encourage you here in person and online to ask any questions that you may have about PKF Cape Town, the application process, the SICA journey. Like I'm here now, so use your resource. Yes. Okay. So the 3 questions was, number 1, what support do we offer while you're doing your training contract? And you mentioned specifically things like study leave, board exams, the financial aspects, that kind of thing. Your second question was medium firm versus big 4 in terms of workload and certain expectations. And then your third question was on what is the retention rate of trainees post articles. Right, okay, wonderful, very, very good questions. Okay, so Nikki knows the policies better than I do, but you will definitely get sufficient study leave to prepare for whether, if you're doing your CTA or your CTA assessments, and if you are writing your ITC and APC board exams, that you will get sufficient leave opportunities for that as well. In terms of financial support, so we pay for the first sitting of ITC and APC and the board courses as well. So we cover the cost of the board courses for ITC and APC. I don't know, Nikki, if you want to join me in the front and just give a bit more detail on that question, and then you can also speak to the retention rate as well. Yeah, and then I'll speak about the workload afterwards.
So basically with regards to the financial assistance, as Dwayne said, we do pay for the first attempts to your ITC, well, IACE now, they've changed it. So IAC and APC board exams and the board courses, and then you do get 25 days paid study leave for your PGDA or CTA level. And then also for ITC or IAC, usually you guys will write it before you start with us, but if you are doing it while you are working with us, it is 10 days paid study leave for IAC. And then also for APC, you get 7 days for the board course and 5 days for APC and so on as well. And then we don't provide bursaries or etc., but we do provide loans to those that are still studying or doing their PGDA, which they can pay back interest-free over a set period that is, I'm going to say, or agreed upon between you and the partners as well. And then with regards to the retention rates of our trainees afterwards, so we would prefer to promote our staff internally. So usually this time of the year, we open up applications for management positions for the coming year, and then when you are in your 3rd year, you can apply to be an audit manager or audit supervisor at PKF. Depending on the need that we have for the coming year, that will give us an idea of how many audit managers and supervisors we need. But to give you an idea of our group this year, we've appointed, I think, 6, more than actually audit managers and supervisors. We've got 13 that's going on next year. Yes, yeah. So it's a thing where they don't want to be in audit and they want to become entrepreneurial or be a CEO or CFO. So,
Okay, great. So no, we don't have a toxic work environment. Our management style is it's very difficult to, like, now it sounds like I am making excuses for toxic. It isn't. It really isn't. It's a very teamwork type of approach, because every audit is essentially a project, right? And all the trainees and the manager or managers on the audit and the partner, we are all members of the same team working towards a common goal. And we therefore promote a positive work environment because firstly, we care about our employees. We know them by the name. We know who their spouses are. We know, who's got brothers and sisters and that sort of thing. So we definitely don't want to make it difficult for each other. It's bad from a personal perspective, and it's also bad from a business perspective. We aren't overworking people. No one shouts at each other. We are quite solution orientated. Does that answer your question? And then the next part of the question was, how do we prevent managers from adopting that style? Well, it's just counter to our culture, right? So if there is a manager that's proverbially cracking the whip, like that manager will be put in line really quickly. Like, that's not how we do things here. You know? Are you satisfied? More concerns, more queries. And then the lady in the front had a question about the second question. Oh, medium and big four. Okay, so I did my articles at the big four firm, and based in Cape Town, and there, you've got publicly listed companies that have Johannesburg Stock Exchange reporting deadlines. So come hello high water, that audit needs to be done in order for that company to report back to the JSE, right? And in that kind of situation, you are expected to get the work done, no matter how many hours you have to work before that deadline, right? PKF Cape Town, we've got PTY Limiteds, we've got sole proprietors, we've got partnerships as clients, and the urgency isn't there, right? We are auditing smaller clients where the work that has to go into an audit is less than the work that has to go into an audit at the big four. And that's just simply because the company is, the average company is smaller. And so the work that has to go in is a bit more reduced. So in terms of overtime, contractually, Nikki, and I don't know if it's still in the contracts, is overtime limited to 40 hours a year, 80 hours a year? It's limited to 40 hours per year contractually. So according to your contract, you can't work more than 40 hours overtime per year. At a big four firm, you can easily work that in a month or 6 weeks. So I really, really can honestly say that the workload is a lot more manageable at PKF specifically. I can't speak to other mid-tier firms. They might be understaffed, and then you'll have to work those crazy hours as well. But at PKF Cape Town, there really is, I can tell you it was a culture shock for me actually, coming from a big four firm and then going to PKF and actually seeing the trainees leave their laptops at work. 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock when they leave, they just leave their laptop at work because the next day, 7 or 8 o'clock when they arrive, they can just continue. Whereas at the big four firm that I worked at, trainees always took their laptop home. Or if they did leave it there, they would probably just go home to have dinner and then come back to the office to continue working. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, great. Any other questions? Are there questions in the chat? Okay. Are we all happy? Okay. Nikki and I will be here afterwards if there's anyone that has more questions, and we'll also be handing out some little goodies too. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. I think the realities of balancing life roles and studies, and also making decisions about the quality of life, making decisions about, if I'm going to study I'm going to work from 7 till 7 and take my laptop home. What is left for a family to start a family or have 3, 5, 7 children, how many children you want, look after your sister's children and those stepchildren. So you really need to make big decisions about quality of life and how you manage yourself effectively, and think about what kind of lifestyle you want to create for yourself. So there is a lot of sacrifices that comes along. I heard that you were the potato for the training contract, and so sacrifices along certain parts of the journey, but I think also just carefully monitoring self for energy levels and burnout. I think burnout is a big reality for accountants. I think our lawyers as well. Just monitor yourself for the red flags and the mental health issues as they creep up, and know that there are counselors available on campus to support you during those difficult times as well, that you're not alone, that you don't have to struggle alone in the dark, that there is support available to you. Okay. So I just want to thank all of our speakers that joined us today. Thank you so much to all of the companies that took their time to come and engage with our students online and in person. I think it's very valuable. We'll also be sharing the recording, making it available on our Counselling YouTube channel so it can reach a larger audience. And we'll be sharing the information with the companies in terms of the audiences that we are able to reach. So thank you to our students for participating today in online and in person. Thank you so much for taking the time out to attend today. And then to Mr. Mubashir Karbare, setting up and all of our technical support, making sure that our events go on without any hitches. Thank you so much. So with that, from our counselling team at the Cape Town office, thank you so much. We have 2 of our companies here in person. If you have any further questions and want to engage with them, you're welcome to do so. Now the students online, if you still want to, you can still leave your comments or your questions. And the recording of today's events will be shared with those who attended today. So those who attend online and sign the register here in person, you'll also receive a recording of today's events. Okay. All right, thank you so much. And with that, I close the program for today. Thank you so much for coming.